Welcome back. Going even faster now. I'm just finishing up the rest of the normals I hadn't added before, mainly the tricep and the thighs, areas that I'm seeing on this reference material. I might consider doing other areas, especially on other characters. It's more of a clothes-based thing. I'm doing what I think looks good. I had originally tried to bring in some cloth sculpting things to put that kind of texture onto these areas. That ended up not panning out. Here, what I'm doing is I'm smoothing things out even more, failing but attempting to shrink wrap a little bit onto the surface. And yet again, I still haven't learned this lesson about just projecting the outermost faces, so I'm going to be wasting a little bit of time still booleaning against the regular mesh, but projecting from views going fairly well. There, additionally, when I'm UV mapping, I should do something to better illustrate up and down. Here, I'm discovering that the leg is actually side to side, so I was marking it up to figure out where up and down were. I finally did catch the shin here, which is why this is me finalizing the look. Going forward, there are no other problems I'm currently aware of. I'm making this bird a little more puffy and a lot less detailed, as well as I'm about to remap where that problem area is. Additionally, I'm going to be clamping down on this mask in a second, actually. So here I'm providing the wrinkles to that scarf or ascot. Still don't know. Still haven't looked up. Apologies. But yeah. Really just going at it, trying to get some hard, stark angles so that it's reacting to, again, the pseudo light. Not quite. Really just looking to make some interesting normals, and then I'll project over. So here, masking out the rest. I will be cleaning up a lot of these masks soon, but here, yeah, realizing that both of these came out as semicircular. I think rendering down to a rectangle makes sense, something that I can make both of them fit. I'm not in love with how this turned out. I think there might be something to explore going forward. But, you know, for what it is, it's worked so far. Yeah, I believe here is where I start noticing the shin. Here soon, I'm noticing that the shin is working strangely with the Fresnels. I am still baking meshes. I've sped this up even more than the last one, seeing as this is just me ironing out what I want this final look to be. One thing I did do before catching the shins was start to smoothen out a lot of these normals, which is something I think I still need to do here in a second when I start streaming again. I need to go back and make sure that the current, here is when I start realizing that the shin looks quite strange. Hasn't clicked in yet, but I will get back to it. I need, now with all the correct projections, I need to go in and smooth in a few things. I think the pec and abs make sense not to. Here I'm checking if my line art modifier is recognizing the contours of the normals, but it isn't. It's still only doing the contours of the actual mesh, which is sad, but it's fine. It's a bit much to expect. Oh, this line art modifier's Tradigitals. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's got some cool stuff. It's mostly in the geometry node editor, and there's also what I'm just going to tell you, you should just hook up the new active camera node to the input socket for camera. Did a little bit of scientific modeling earlier using that same outline thing, and I hadn't figured that out, and it was miserable because I had like 6 active cameras I kept switching between and having to go back in and reapply cameras. I just apply the active camera to it. Anyway, here I'm using the Fresnel again, I believe, to check on the smoothness. I'll overlay here, actually, just the nodes that I've come to, where I'm using the Z. Oh, here's where I finally recognize, excuse me, that the shin is completely out of whack. So yeah, I already talked to this a few times, and in the previous video, This flew by because it was the first one I'd done. You should mask first and then start to manipulate your UV to match, not the other way around. I was goofy for that. Regardless, as we're talking, I'll over here while I'm figuring things out and rebaking, I'll just show what my final node setup is that incorporates these normals. It incorporates this fake lighting. So the normals can be broken into the XY angle as well as a Z angle. And what I end up doing is breaking that apart so that anything that would be facing up gets a slightly lighter pitch and anything facing down gets a slightly darker pitch. And then I'm also incorporating, I keep saying that, I'm also using a Fresnel as I'm plugging in right now as the video is running, just so that it's not a static amount of color. So as the camera shifts, you are getting a slight gradient, but you're getting a slight gradient that's only applying a slight lighter tint or a slight darker tint to the existing color underneath. And so I'm doing a lot of work. It's that like tiny bit of polish on an otherwise flat color scheme that I'm thinking does look nice, because I'm getting quite a lot more detail than is present in the geometry, but it's definitely not the most important thing. It's a lot of effort to be subtle. And I don't know if devoting like 3 videos to something still counts as subtle, but I mean, when you look at it, it's still pretty clearly large shapes with block colors, but now as we're looking, you can see just the outlines, and it's very dependent on the angle of viewing, which I think does a little something. It's a little punch, it's a little flare on top. I do end up tuning a lot of these color ramps and how strong each of these colors present themselves, and then I still end up mixing the fake rim light over all of this. The rim light is even simpler. It's literally just the base texture mixed with like white to some minute factor, and then I mix a couple shaders, both shaders being emission, and the slightly brighter one is just a slightly stronger emission mixed with a slightly whiter tint. And what you might be seeing on and off is I've got this optional kind of style I'm also going for, that I'm going to be using as I'm animating for impact frames, where I've got this wave texture where some of it will be invisible based on the white and black pattern of the wave. So I've got it mixed with a holdout texture, which only really works when the background is set to transparent. But as you'll see in a lot of my GIFs and key images going forward, I do have the background set to just that same color as the suit, which I think makes it kind of interesting. We'll see. Hey, thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more, you can get ahead of these videos and watch the VODs of the live streams. If you want to get ahead of those videos, you can tune into a live stream. I'm still ironing out a schedule to stream consistently. That's a stretch goal of mine at the moment. Working too much, working too hard. If this helped at all, leave a like, subscribe. That does a huge deal for me. If you'd like to see any part of this in more detail, slowed down and with greater degree of explanation, leave a comment. I've got the file on me. I'm happy to explore more detail. Better yet, again, come drop into a live stream. Catch me. Find me on Twitter, Ankara, same name, Cut Teeth. Thanks for watching.